All right, think about guys like Victor Osimhen, Mauro Icardi, Alvaro Morata, Edin Dzeko, Hakim Ziyech, and Dusan Tadic. What do they all have in common? I mean, besides being absolute megastars of world football. The answer is that at some point in their incredible careers, they all made the exact same choice. They packed up and headed to the Turkish Super League. Now, for years, Turkish football was kind of seen from the outside as this destination for players nearing the end of their careers, right? A final payday. But look at the landscape today, and things have completely flipped. Turkish clubs are aggressively snagging players right in their prime, guys worth literally tens of millions of euros. They're going head-to-head with some of Europe's biggest leagues, and they're commanding international attention like never before. It's a massive shift in the global football market.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this right here is the central mystery of our explainer today. How on earth can Turkish clubs actually afford to drop these massive bags of cash? We're talking jaw-dropping wages and huge transfer fees for world-class talent, which creates this incredible financial paradox when you actually look at the underlying numbers of the league.
I mean, just look at the contrast. On one hand, you've got behemoths like the English Premier League operating with astronomical global TV money. Spain and Germany pull in absolutely massive commercial revenues. And then you have the Turkish Super League. Turkey just doesn't have that sweet Premier League TV money flowing into its coffers. It doesn't generate the same astronomical baseline commercial revenue as a league like La Liga. And yet, they are successfully pulling off shockingly massive superstar signings right under the noses of European giants. So where exactly does all this money come from?
Let's start with Section 1, the birth of the Super League, from regional to global.
To really uncover the source of this modern wealth, we actually have to step back in time. Before 1959, Turkey didn't even have a national football league. Clubs fought it out in fiercely contested regional championships centered around cities like Istanbul, Ankara, and Izmir. But that all changed in 1959 with the creation of the Turkish Super League. Almost immediately, 3 clubs out of Istanbul established themselves as absolute national giants: Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, and Beşiktaş. And they weren't just sports teams anymore. They became these deep-rooted symbols of identity, culture, and intense regional pride. Then, roll into the 1970s, and Trabzonspor completely shocked the establishment. They broke Istanbul's dominance, scooped up multiple league titles, and proved that top-tier success wasn't just limited to the country's biggest city. Over the decades, these intense rivalries transformed football into Turkey's most popular sport. Fast forward to today, and these historic derby matches attract millions of viewers worldwide and create stadium atmospheres that players literally describe as among the best on earth.
Section 2. The power of passion, turning fans into funding.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the demographic engine driving the league's modern wealth. It basically comes down to one massive number: 85 million. That is the population of Turkey. And when you realize that football in this country isn't just casual weekend entertainment, but a deeply ingrained, generational way of life, that number becomes a financial goldmine. Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, and Beşiktaş each boast millions upon millions of fiercely loyal fans. We're talking entire families supporting the exact same club for generations. Football here is an everyday obsession, and that creates an enormous, captive audience that is more than ready to support their teams financially.
And this enormous fan base converts that raw passion into cold, hard cash through multiple vital revenue streams. You've got sold-out season tickets, massive club membership numbers, and high-end corporate hospitality providing an incredible foundation. But really, look at merchandise and sponsorships. When a superstar like Victor Osimhen or Mauro Icardi signs for a Turkish club, shirt sales literally explode overnight. It's an immediate return on investment. And because the fans are so uniquely passionate, sponsors are absolutely desperate to get their logos in front of those 85 million sets of eyes. The increased exposure for these brands is so immense that it makes the cost of underwriting expensive superstar transfers incredibly easy to justify.
Section 3. Wealthy presidents and the corporate network.
So how do those corporate deals actually get made? You see, unlike a lot of European clubs that are outright owned by foreign billionaires or massive sovereign investment groups, Turkish clubs operate quite differently. Most of these clubs are member-based organizations led by elected presidents. And these presidents aren't just anybody. They are very often highly successful business leaders with incredibly powerful corporate networks. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean the presidents are just reaching into their own pockets and paying for a star striker's transfer fee with their personal credit card. Instead, they leverage their immense influence and their deep relationships within Turkey's business community to secure massive sponsorship deals, commercial partnerships, and creative financing. They essentially use their networks to make these incredibly ambitious deals a reality. Section 4. Creative transfer strategies, or the mechanics of megadeals.
Because fans often assume clubs just drop huge bags of upfront cash on the table, right? But the reality behind the curtain is far more clever. So the crucial point is how modern Turkish clubs rely on a few brilliant financial strategies to manage their short-term cash flow. Step 1, they almost never pay a massive transfer fee all at once. Instead of paying 25 million euros upfront today, they structure the deal so the payments are spread out in installments over 3 or 4 seasons. Step 2, they heavily utilize loan deals with mandatory purchase options. This is huge because it lets them get a world-class player on the pitch immediately while completely deferring the actual financial hit to a future budget year. In Step 3, contracts are aggressively structured with performance and signing bonuses. By tying a player's compensation to appearances, goals, league position, or even commercial agreements, the club keeps the base salary totally manageable. These methods are the secret sauce that allows Turkish clubs to punch way above their weight class and complete highly expensive transfers without immediately bankrupting the club.
Section 5. European competitions. The ultimate prize.
But why push the budget to the absolute limit in the first place? Well, all of these highly leveraged transfers are ultimately fueled by the pursuit of one thing: European glory. And that brings enormous, game-changing financial rewards. Literally tens of millions of euros are on the line. Qualifying for the UEFA Champions League generates a massive windfall of cash through prize money, highly lucrative broadcasting revenue, and packed matchday income. Even deep runs in the Europa League or the Conference League provide incredibly valuable financial support. So for top Turkish clubs, European qualification isn't just about the prestige of playing under those Tuesday night lights. It is a fundamental pillar of their financial strategy. A successful European campaign is exactly what funds the next wave of superstar transfers and keeps the whole machine moving forward.
Section 6. The risks behind the success and the cost of ambition.
And this brilliantly illustrates the risks involved, because you cannot aggressively leverage your future without walking a very dangerous financial tightrope. There is a dark side to this incredible rise. For many years, in their desperate bid to remain competitive and land these massive stars, several Turkish clubs accumulated significant and sometimes crippling debt. High wage bills for aging stars, combined with those large spread-out transfer commitments we talked about earlier, created massive financial obligations that eventually came due. It got to the point where some clubs were forced into really difficult periods of severe debt restructuring just to keep the lights on. Furthermore, UEFA's strict financial fair play regulations, their mandatory spending limits, have aggressively stepped in, forcing Turkish clubs into an era of much more disciplined spending. So while the spending definitely remains impressively high today, clubs are now hyper-aware that they must balance their massive on-pitch ambition with basic financial sustainability. Section 7. The future of the Super League. Balancing ambition and reality.
To solve the mystery of how they afford it, we've seen that it's never just one magic bullet. It's the perfect storm of 85 million passionate fans buying out merchandise, highly influential corporate presidents opening up vast business networks, incredibly creative accounting that spreads out payments, and that relentless chase for UEFA millions. Together, all these elements have transformed the Turkish Super League into one of Europe's most fascinating and fastest-growing football economies. But I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Can this aggressive, highly leveraged level of superstar spending truly continue for the next decade? Or will the strict rules of financial reality and accumulated debt eventually put the brakes on the Super League's remarkable rise? Only time will tell if they can keep their balance.